Can I hear me now? I can hear me now. Woohoo. Okay. Audio fixed. I do not have another case of accidentally being without audio for an entire stream again. Love that for me. Because I should close out of all of the programs that are going to make my laptop start sounding like a jet engine here any second. Can we tell that I was not prepared today? Okay. Switch my headphones back so that I can hopefully hear the background music once I put that on. And let's do that. Can I try that? What am I in the mood for? I think I'm feeling some into space today. Turning it down a little though. All right. When I start pulling out the dishware in art, does that mean I'm doing it right? No, I just need to draw a circle. Was tracing something. How did I manage to not get a perfect circle tracing a perfect circle? That's how bad I am at this. Oh well. The point was just to find the center of this. I know how long all of the spokes of my theoretical snowflake should be. This into roughly thirds. They're still not even. Oh well. I came into this knowing that it was going to be an epic fail, but it's better than when I was attempting it on wood. So anyway, now I need to figure out what I actually want to draw. I was so unprepared for this. I decided on a whim what I was doing on like Sunday and then completely failed to think about it again. It's going to bug me how uneven some of these are. I know I said I need to start just accepting the failure, but it's early enough that I can fix it. And I can actually erase from paper in the way that I couldn't when I was trying to do this on wood. Okay, that's better. Still not perfect, but better. What was I in the middle of saying when I decided I needed to fix that? Oh yeah, I decided on a whim that I was going to do this today and put zero further thought into it. So I'm just winging it. Maybe I should pull up some inspo pics. Google image search for snowflakes. Okay. I'm just going to leave that up on my other screen to glance at for general inspo for shape. Not going to try and copy it. Will not try to copy it. I will not try to copy it. It's so much easier to copy things. Also, don't like that shape already. They are kind of like almost pentagonal shapes on some of the high definition photos of snowflakes that I'm looking at. And again, some of them are all like nearly solid as well. Most common is a little branchy stuff that I was looking at before. Oh. I'm just gonna some guidelines to start thinking about where and how long and what angles I should place things at. It's like how many times will I erase the same first spot that I try? Turn those into wider, almost triangles. Little rhomboids. Okay, stop thinking so much. Just do. I'm going to need to stop and put some actual thought into a solution for being able to draw the shape that I need. All right, the intention today was to draw the Snowflake Channel logo. I'm abandoning that almost immediately on what 10 minutes in, including technical issues. Probably could have just flipped to a new page. But I would end up erasing that when I came back to work on it with a solution later anyway. So instead, what I'm going to do is poorly attempt to paint. So, protective silicone matte is still painty from the last time. Pull down all my actual paint supplies. Paint brushes. Try and grab my crappy ones that I don't mind potentially ruining with acrylic. And I still have my paint cup for water. Okie doke. First things first, I want to get background down. Now, do I want to do a plain background or add in some fun colors? I was thinking, this was my vague backup plan that I took like 2 seconds to formulate. I was thinking I like just the simplicity of a white snowflake on a black backdrop, but could also be fun to mix some other colors in there. I might also do a blue snowflake instead, or blue and white with blue accents. Undecided. I'm going to start with just black. And if I want to add more color later, I will try to do that. My hesitation is that if I try and do the more elaborate one and then end up not liking it, I am running very low on black paint. And consequently, may or may not have enough to go back over it if I end up not liking it, because I don't have the cheapest acrylic, but it's not thick acrylic either. So as you can probably see, it doesn't have the greatest coverage, especially over white. I'm going to need multiple layers to get it uniform. And apparently I'm going to need more than I expected just to cover it in the first place. I've also just realized that I'm going to need something to do while this dries. So while I work on getting a somewhat even layer of paint, I should also start brainstorming what else I would like to do. Obviously, it would be easiest to stick with paint, but what? Get these strokes a little less insane. Going all relatively the same direction at least. Okay. And so I'm going to need something else to paint on and somewhere to put this while it dries. So I guess I really should have actually prepared for this stream and had my desk like cleared off so that I can work. Oh, but that would be silly. Why would I prepare? Laugh in the face of preparedness. Okay. Well, that dries. What else should I do? All right. Canvas board it is. Ooh, this one's super warped. Like it actually matters. I'm not selling these or displaying them. Well, I'm not displaying them anywhere but my YouTube channel anyway. No idea how it even got that warped. It's bent into like a twisted S shape. What colors do I want to use? Maybe some yellow and red. All options for red. Maybe do a nice turquoise. Excuse me, aqua. Probably decide what I actually want to do before I start just pulling colors out, because I don't want to do something super abstract. Not that I don't like doing that, but I've done it a couple of times on here already and have a bunch of canvases. I say a bunch, like half a dozen canvases already full of just abstract squish art that I experimented with. I think I might go for a sunsetty kind of thing in the background. Let's see if I can make that work. Don't really have a pink to make the magenta that we get in sunset here. Or sunrises. You know, people tend to do the yellow as like a dot or circular shape on the horizon to represent the sun, because that's the yellowest part. But I also, like, my favorite part of sunset was when the sun's actually beyond the horizon already, so you just get the yellow glow across the very bottom of it. I'm not going to clean my brush in between so that I get some of the gradient benefits. I'm not going to spend too much time on that now because I'm going to have to go back for a second layer to actually fully blend it. Now, at this point, it's just looking like ketchup and mustard vibes. I'm just really off today, huh? So I'm not feeling this at all. Okay. Well, what I can do, set this aside for the moment. It's not like it will hurt it for me to keep going if I decide I want to stick on with that plan. I can always re-pick it up later. Pick it back up later, rather. So try and not completely destroy my brushes. Letting them get soaked with acrylic and dry that way. Okay. And that over to the new drying station and bring back some black. All right, it's not fully dry, but it is dry enough to put another layer on. Do I love the ASMR of a nearly empty tube of paint? I did warn you that I was low. And I think I may have used too much this time. Oh well. I will end up with some texture, which is not the worst possible outcome. All right. It is fairly uniformly black. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's because there is light reflecting off of wet paint into the camera. It is not as streaky as some bits actually look. And if they are, that's okay too. I was kind of going to almost try and get like a wood grainy texture, like the veneer on my desk is a black wood grain pattern that I actually really like. Just sort of the point. So if there's a tiny bit of unevenness, that's okay. But I was trying to get the like brush strokey texture, so I wanted it all in roughly the same direction. To give a sort of like if wood grain was a fresca. And now I'm at a stopping point again where I have nothing to do. Oh well, I suppose I could chat while I clean up my desk a little since I didn't do it before stream. It would be easier if there's anyone to chat to, but it's not like this will be the first time I've ever just talked to myself for like an hour. Anyway, I didn't stream for a couple of weeks because, well, I'm an ADHD gremlin and I've been off work, so I've had absolutely no structure, and most days I'm lucky if I can figure out what day it is. Like, just knowing is not happening at all, but there were multiple days that I would look at a calendar or look at my phone and be like, what day even is it? And then be like, okay, it's Thursday. And then 5 minutes later, I will have forgotten again. And you would think being off work would make it easier for me to have time to stream. It in fact did precisely the opposite. Because A, I don't know what day it is, and B, my brain was like, oh my god, we're finally getting a break. We need to do all of the sleep. I should actually like wipe off the paint from my nail polish so that I don't have to ruin it with acetone later. Just did my nails like yesterday. Day before? Whenever Sunday was, I think. Yes, Sunday, because I did it while Trisha was alive. continue to rearrange some stuff to have more room. Take out my headphones because while I like the driving music, they are just getting in the way. I'm getting into my whipped paint. Okie doke. With that exhausted for the moment, is it just me? Am I the only one that is incapable of painting literally anything without getting it all over me? Okay. I guess I could actually show off some stuff that has dried since I last did them. So this is how my little experimental piece that I was just rolling with vibes last time dried down. I'd say the matte add-in that I was experimenting with did its job beautifully. The sections that I used it on are all completely matte, as intended. The iridescent one is definitely not iridescent. Like, if you manage to catch it at the right angle, it is faintly glittery. I would have to use a lot more of it to get any kind of actual iridescent or noticeably glittery effect. Still have no idea what this whole situation is. But I had fun painting it. Then this is how the watercolor experimentation dried down, which I'm not fully displeased with. I'm getting acrylic all over it. Vanishu silicone matte. I need to put it under something heavy to flatten it out, but all in all, I don't hate it. Managed to retain some of the texture of the two different colors of green for the leaves. My little spiky bushes look like weird spiky bushes and not just strokes of like crap on a page. My flowers are visibly flowers. So yeah, it's not horrid. Probably the only other thing that I don't think I've shown since I did it was one of my first painting streams. My weird abstract, my like weird experimental flowers. Like how some of them turned out. I like aspects of this. I like the colors. I like found that I really love this pink and blue combo. Learned what didn't work, including using masking fluid, because I took all of the masking fluid off of this one, and as you can see from how patchy and faint this is, it pulled up most of the pigment with it. So I just left it on for the rest of them. So that's about how all that's going. Maybe I should work on some calligraphy. That sounds like a good idea. I do need to figure out what's going on with my calligraphy pen because I haven't used it in years. But I have plenty of inks and stuff, so I might as well, right? Bad as my handwriting is, I can always use the practice. So, calligraphy paper. What was I even writing last time? It looks like I was copying out either poetry or song lyrics. I don't know which. Also just making random lists. Yeah, I think that's just a list of musical artists. I don't know. I've had this for probably a decade. No idea when I last even looked at it. So this is my fountain pen. It was great when I first got it, and then it started clogging up almost immediately, and I couldn't figure out why. And now I can't figure out how to unclog it and fix it, which makes me sad because it was like a solid $60 pen. I keep it because I'll figure it out eventually. For now, I shall be using a half-destroyed dip pen. Well, the pen isn't half-destroyed. The nib is bent all to hell and back. I have others though, so. Fix that to straighten out with pliers later, or save that to fix later. In the meantime, the nibs. Which one do I want to use? Okay, this one. And this isn't going to show very well because it's going to be black ink on black plastic, but it's either that or black and clear, which also probably wouldn't show up particularly well. That was almost a massive splotch. Now I have paint and ink all over me, which is like not out of line for how I operate. All right. Let's start with just some very basics. Way too much ink on that one. Not a cursive E, obviously, because I actually can't even remember how to do an uppercase cursive E. I should probably look that up at some point. I did used to know. Though technically a lot of these aren't really cursive letters, they're just stylized. I used to actually be good at this. This is frustrating. But that's why I need to practice. When I was little and actually straight through to today, my handwriting, my penmanship is horrific. And I never minded it because it's still legible. Like my teachers could grade, well, the papers that I managed to turn in anyway. And like you can read what I write, but it's not pretty. And that used to drive my mother absolutely batshit insane because she and my sister both had really pretty handwriting, and it was for some reason super important to her that I also have super pretty handwriting. She used to get so upset when I just wouldn't care. So I took up calligraphy mostly to shut her up. And then eventually I got pretty good at it. And then most frustratingly for her, anytime I was using anything but a calligraphy pen, I would revert straight back to looking like a particularly talented monkey wrote whatever I was writing. Yeah, even with the guidelines, these are super shaky and uneven. So, yeah, this is going on my to practice list. Then again, I also have drawing on my to practice list, and I haven't done that literally once since I streamed my first attempt at drawing. So we'll see how much I actually do. In cursive, that's an N, but that's how I write my lowercase m's. I'm not thinking too hard about it. Stab briefly so it doesn't get clogged again. How's my paint doing? Still super wet. Calligraphy might end up being the rest of stream. I did not think this through, which I have said multiple times, so you can't get mad at me. Well, you can, but it would be mean for you to get mad at me. For this, anyway. There's other things that wouldn't be mean at all to get mad at me for. What should I write? Looking at what I still have pulled up for inspo, and Ian said something on Twitter, so let's just for funsies switch to a less precision nib, and then see if we can do a little calligraphy of Ian's tweets, shall we? Alright, not the chunkiest little nib that I have, but see that it is a flat-tipped one rather than a pointed one. So I should be able to get at least some stylization fairly easily. I don't know why I started with a precision tip to just do alphabet, but it's the one I grabbed. Pick a tweet and get going. This inkwell and this nib also do not work well together. Alas, I do not plan. Blot, apparently. Or know how to spell? I was trying to say also and wrote something akin to salsa. Let's try that one again. Cursive? I don't think I want to do cursive. I think I just want to do stylized. Wow, me and blotting are not friends today. Not that me and blotting have been friends for years. This is the first time I've done this in solid 5 to 6 years. That came out wrong. No, Trisha, you did not miss the snowflake. I got as far at, well, first I started drawing it and then like had a mental breakdown in the first 10 minutes drawing and decided to switch to paint instead. And I got as far as doing the black background that I want to put a white snowflake on. And now I'm waiting for paint to dry. So I just decided to pick up some calligraphy, and I'm currently doing calligraphy of some of Ian's tweets just for funsies. I utterly and completely failed to do any planning for this stream, so it's just been an absolute shit show. God, it's almost painful to do this because I'm so out of practice, but that's exactly why I need to do it. I used to be good at this. I promise. Yeah, so I've been off work for 2.5 weeks because I'm between contracts at the moment, and I often have no idea what day it is. If I didn't have to be awake on weekdays, I probably would just turn my alarm off and go fully nocturnal. Well, actually, probably not nocturnal, but I would definitely not be on like a regular sleep schedule. Trisha just woke up from what was supposed to be a 20-minute nap. It ended up being 2.5 hours. Yep, I have most definitely done that. Partially because I just am really bad at napping in general. Even as a little kid, I was never a napper. I was like, either I'm asleep or I'm awake. And so as an adult, like if I lay down for a nap, it's because I'm sick. Used to, well, one of many things that used to drive my mom nuts is that I like would never nap at all, so she could never get any peace. But she would complain about and then brag that I was the quietest baby that was like not fussy at all. So I don't know why she was complaining about that. Or many other things that she should have complained about, but my penmanship and the fact that I didn't nap apparently is it. Trisha was just crazy tired. Yeah, I feel you. The first week that I was off work, so like 2 weeks ago, my allergies were horrendous. I could barely stay awake for the 8 hours that I needed to be awake per day. Like, it's been so long since I've regularly had allergies that I had forgotten just how, like, badly that affected me. I also need to get my fountain pen fixed because this dip pen is driving me insane. Probably also doesn't help that I don't have great quality ink, so it's way too thin. Been like 20 years since Trisha attempted any calligraphy. Yeah, this is the first time I've picked up any of my calligraphy supplies in a solid 5 years, maybe more. It just happened to be like what was right next to me when I was grasping for something to do while I waited for paint to dry. I was saying earlier to nobody, but I used to be actually really good at it because my mom hated my handwriting and always wanted it to be neat and pretty. And my just normal penmanship, like with a ballpoint, is legible, but that's pretty much all you can say about it. It drove her nuts. So I picked up calligraphy to appease her, only for that to go down the drain because the moment that I pick up a regular ballpoint pen, it goes straight back to legible and nothing else, even though I was like pretty good at calligraphy. So there was one point in time where she tried to convince me to write only with a fountain pen. And I'm sure you can imagine how well that went, trying to convince a 15-year-old who was in high school that they should write with the most inconvenient form of pen on the planet. Now, I completely skipped a number that's going to make this make 0 cents. Oh well. Trying to talk and calligraphy at the same time. Trisha says her mother-in-law has the most gorgeous handwriting and she's jealous. Even if I have good handwriting, hers is picture perfect cursive. Yeah. People that put a lot of effort into perfecting that when they were kids seem to keep it for all their lives. But mine just never stuck. I think probably because my mom tried to force me so much that I think I actually might have had tendinitis from a really young age, because I remember like starting back in first, second grade when she would have me sit for like an hour a day to practice my penmanship. My hand would just cramp up almost immediately, and it hurts really bad if I try and write more than a couple of sentences at a time. Just checking paint for a moment, and still too wet. So let us find another of Ian's tweets. Because if I'm going to practice calligraphy, I might as well be sassy while I'm at it. And Ian's Twitter is kind of perfect for that. He has actually not been particularly sassy lately. Apparently, the read trial has knocked some of this Twitter sass out of him. He's saving it all for his recaps. All right. The insomnia, yeah. I feel for him with that, man. I get the ADHD insomnia sometimes, and it just kills me until it moves along. All right, so instead of Twitter, I'm going to the Runkleisms channel on the Roll of Law Discord. I also think I'm starting to just about reach my limit with the read trial, because I have gotten to the point where I'm kind of hopping in and out of Emily all day so that I don't just pull my hair out. And pretty much same with all of the recaps that I'm watching. I tried to watch like an hour of Natalie's stream before I hopped on here, and I got about 5 minutes in. I was like, oh my god, I just can't. Simply cannot. Maybe once it gets to the defense case in chief, it'll turn around and be less slogging, but it's like my brain is melting from how slow it's going. Trisha's can't do both gavel to gavel and recaps, so you stick with Emily's gavel to gavel. Yeah, I mean, well, you're a mod there, so that's kind of the responsible thing to do. "84 years. It's been 84 years." I mean, they have to run out of people in Canton eventually that they can subpoena. I mean, it's not that big of a town. Yeah, 24K is a little bit bigger than the town that I went to school in, which is technically not my hometown, but I mean, my favorite thing is the people who get mad at people who are saying it's a small town. Like, what? Why so defensive about the size of your town, my guy? Ah, this is horrible. Good thing I'm not putting up on the internet for anyone who wants to see. And that was a joke. I came into this stream knowing it was going to be a phenomenal failure. I'm just annoyed at myself for not maintaining one of the few kind of quasi-artistic skills that I actually had before this. Trisha says she grew up on an island that's 4 miles wide by 7 miles long. There's almost twice as many residents. Yeah. I grew up in the foothills of the Cascades outside of Seattle, and technically I have more than one small town. Until I was 8, we moved every 3 to 6 months between them. And they ranged from about 750 people up to around 2,000-ish. And then the town that I went to high school in was kind of in the middle of them all and was around, at the time, 18,000 people. It's a lot bigger now. The town I went to high school in also has a state prison in it, which is right next to the high school. As in, like, you look out the window in the cafeteria and it looks down onto the prison yard. And that was the new high school, because obviously they got the land for dirt cheap when they realized they were going to have to expand. And I was like the first freshman class there. They moved people up in phases, and they used to tell us, like, teachers and administrators used to be like, yeah, we put it here to give you guys a short walk. Trisha says, I told a roommate in college that I grew up on an island next to Oakland. She was like, you grew up on an island? And I'm like, did you miss the next to Oakland part? Yeah, I have family in NorCal. They live up, well, they used to live up in Redding and Red Bluff and Gerber, technically, but it was always amusing watching them try to tell people where in California they're from. Because they're like, no, the middle of nowhere, California. No, not any of the nice places. The middle of nowhere, California. Yeah, it's proper NorCal. It was almost exactly a 12-hour drive from our house to theirs. So we used to go down almost every summer. And one of my hometowns, and specifically the one that my childhood best friend lived in, I don't know if this is true or not, but it was rumored that Kurt Cobain had a second home out there. So, being as we grew up in the 90s, and like the first news story I remember was about Kurt Cobain's death, our childhood was littered with random ass, usually junkies, coming up to us like at the playground and asking if we knew how to get to Kurt Cobain's house. And when we were in a good mood, we would just say no and like leave. When we were in a bad mood or over it, we would give them directions to a property where we knew they would not be welcomed, or at least that they would be welcomed with a firearm, and usually some very scary looking dogs. Yeah, we weren't we didn't take kindly necessarily to city slickers coming out to play tourist in our town based on something that we considered that trivial. Like, we had things that tourists could come do. Like, we had a little we had a bunch of like berry farms. There's a Ren fair that's held out there every summer. Stuff like that. But like, just people in their 20s and 30s, usually strung out on heroin, walking up to kids in the park. And when I say kids, I mean we were like 6-7 years old. My best friend lived across the street from the park, so we didn't have a parent right there watching us. We just like went to the park. Trisha came to Seattle for her 10th anniversary, took a photo tour, and one of the stops was his house. We didn't actually stop, and it was legit on the way between two stops. Yep, it's one of the big tourist attractions. I actually technically don't live very far from it. As the crow flies, it's like a quarter of a mile. But I've never actually been there. I know it's in Wallingford, I think. Pretty sure it's in Wallingford. I know Ann Wilson of Heart also used to have a house like up the street from there. Okay. My hand is cramping something fierce, so I'm going to give the calligraphy a break. And unfortunately, paint is not sufficiently dry that I can put white on top of this black. Which means that this is probably going to have to dry overnight, and I mean realistically till next week. That I am at a loss as to what else to do, because I've already changed stuff that I'm doing like 5 times in this stream. I suppose I could do some resin stuff. What's resin? I did. Before I get started on that, Trisha says, when I was 14 in 1995, we went to Disneyland, and one of the stops was going to see OJ and Nicole's house in Brentwood. Yeah. That's another big one. Criminal houses. So for a previous conversation that we had on, I think, your channel, I did end up getting one of the like little panel LED lights for UV resin. So I'm gonna see if that works better than the other 2 cheapo lights. I haven't actually tried it yet. You definitely don't flash that in your eyes. That hurt a little bit. I don't know why I sat back down. I need to stand up to get my UV resin stuff. I am going to have a disaster to clean up when I'm done streaming. I have more space than you typically work with, but I also did not clean my desk prior to streaming because, as I think I mentioned, I did not plan this at all, much less well. So it's kind of a disaster. All right, I don't actually have any projects to do, but I have little necklace pendant molds that I generally just use for like whatever I need them for or for test pieces. I think that's kind of what I'm stuck with doing without any other pre-planning. Some mixing cups. I'm going to use the cheap little ones because all of my good mixing cups need clean. I've used like half of them with UV resin and half with normal resin, and they're all sticky and gross. Oh, you had to order a new tray or just a new silicone mat? Or did it all stay on the silicone mat? I know I have more in here. Just a new silicone mat. Oh, well, that's at least easier than replacing the whole tray. You should really get your actual craft table cleaned off at some point. I know you've mentioned that you have one. Alrighty. I have a few. Colored options. Plenty of clear. And I have. I was going to say alcohol inks, and then the first one I picked up is the purple one that wildly discolors to like, I didn't know that there could be a pukey pink color, but this discolors somehow in UV resin to like the pukiest pink you can imagine. I don't know how else to describe it. It's in 2-part resin. It's like a gorgeous, like pink toned amethyst. But somehow in UV resin, it goes completely sideways. I also have metallic liquid mix-ins and bucket o' glitter, some flakies. Wrong direction. Zoom out a little so you guys can actually see. And box O mica. It's not the most comprehensive ones, but I just got like a little like 9 color sampler on Amazon ages ago. All right, so I think I'm going to use for my first one this. It's supposed to be white colored UV resin. I'm going to show you the color that they're calling white. That's white, apparently. It's like slightly cloudy, ever so slightly cloudy. So I'm going to use that essentially as a clear, just base to start. Different kind of specimen cup, yeah. Definitely more like the collection cup from your stream on Sunday. Also, I don't know what it is. This is like the Signature Crafts brand, which is just like what you can get at Michael's, but the colored ones smell so bad. The clear one doesn't smell horrible, but like even just having this little amount, it's like 2 milliliters. I can smell it. It's so strong. All right, what colors do I want? In terms of liquid colorants, I have mostly, well, I have 2 different shades of blue, one turquoise and one like icy blue color. But I have a incomplete rainbow of mica that I can work with. Mica obviously slightly hides any physical mix-ins that I might want to play with, but it does give me color options. I think I'm gonna start with orange and add in some gold and copper. I'm still fairly new to UV resin, but it is very nice to have a lot more working time than 2-part resin. The only thing Trisha's worked with in 2 parts is the silicone. Yeah, I like the effect. I find it a lot less fickle in many ways, but you have to be very aware that you have a time limit when you're working with it, because once it starts kicking, it gets almost impossible to handle for a couple of reasons. One, because the viscosity starts getting really weird, so you can't get it to do what you want it to. And 2, since it's an exothermic reaction, it gets physically too hot to handle. Start with just some gold. I love gold. I actually don't love gold, but child of the 90s. I can't say anything about gold without referencing Austin Powers. I mean, that gave me the metallic effect, obviously, because it's a metallic mixer, but it is much more yellow than I wanted, so I should have started with the copper. Sorry, bronze. Alright, this is so opaque that you can't see the blue through it, so I'm definitely not getting any physical stuff in here. Glitter would be pointless, and the flakies would probably just look like a weird texture. But I just haven't played with these in a lot of different combinations, so I figured I'd pull them out. Alright, which mold? Doesn't really matter. Did I manage to estimate the exact perfect amount? I think I did. It's filled like directly to the top and not a skosh under it. Trisha says, I could fill it partially and then paint something on it in black, then top with clear. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Especially since I found that the UV resin in these silicone molds, one of the sides always ends up textured anyway. Weirdly, not the side that is exposed to air. Like, that ends up being fine. But even though everything is super smooth silicone, it's like it doesn't fully cure on the bottom. And then it ends up like having a slight texture when the silicone and the UV resin separate when I pull it out. So I could always just draw on that side and then do a clear coat. Turn things so that the light is away from me so I don't blind myself. Get that curing. And when I picked these cups, I did not stop to consider whether the silicone or whether this plastic will separate from the resin once it's cured. Trisha cures it on top, then turns it over and cures the back. Yeah, I've tried that, but even still, the back still ends up with texture because it's partially cured at that point, and when it pulls away, it warps the piece because it's big enough to warp, and then B has that texture on the back. If you have alcohol, you can go rinse it out. Yeah. Don't have any rubbing alcohol. I have some nail polish remover with me, but since that's not straight acetone, I don't want to use it. Well, I got almost all of it out, so it should be fine. And I'll clean it out more thoroughly later. These other ones have some little bits of cured tube art in there that I should probably get out. Vodka might work. It might, but I think the only vodka I have is like both good and flavored. Like, I did not spend $25 on my bottles of Fast Eddies to use them to clean out arts and crafts projects. I ended up using all of my cheapo plain vodka that I used to keep around for perfume making in cocktails over the pandemic time. And I haven't done perfume making since then, so I just never bothered replacing it. Alright, I think everything's stuck beyond what I'm going to get out, so it should be fine. All right, let's try something a little bit more transparent. I think I'm still going to use the clear, or use the white that's not white, because I want to just get it used up and out of my life. And let's go with some turquoise alcohol ink. Wants to give it a blue tint. I don't know how visible it is, but it's just like tinted what you imagine ocean blue is going to be until you actually see an ocean. I'm gonna hold off on glitter because that tends to sink. So I want to use it in a particular way if I do. Do I want to do complementary blue or iridescent or contrasting color? I think I'm gonna go with green. Some green iridescent fakies. My glitter addict urge is to put all of the iridescent flakies in, but I already know if I pack it too much, I'm going to end up regretting it because it won't look good. So I'm going to attempt restraint, though I am going to put another small pinch in there. As it is looking a tad sparse. Once again, spot on with my amounts. I'm eyeballing it, but I'm doing very well. I am going to have to drill out the whole of this one, but that's because I think this is the one that has a too short little thingy that maintains where the hole needs to go. And that one has enough bubbles that I actually need to pop them. Where did I just set down my torch? Where did it go? Ah, torch. I have torch. Now I have to remember how to work torch. Safety. I always forget that there's a safety on the back because this goes up to like stupid high temperatures. Ooh, that didn't smell good. How did I manage to get dust in there in the 10 seconds it took me to get the torch? No. It's not like I'm selling these or something. That is still half liquid, so I don't know how impressed I am with this light so far. Maybe it will do better with something clear. I am also going to set up one of my other lights to hopefully actually cure that. All right, and I'm not going to bother wiping that out because the tint of blue is so faint with what's left in there. What next? I'm going to do a much smaller amount of mica for tint and maybe some glitter. Next one. Let's go with red, which is actually more like a dark magenta, but oh well, good enough. Immediately put the cap back on because with my luck, I will knock it over and have mica all over everything until the end of time. Managed to keep that quasi-translucent. Now, since glitter tends to sink, I'm not going to mix the glitter in. I'm going to pour this into a mold and then put some glitter on top so that it hopefully some of it will stay suspended and some of it will sink through. This one's a little bit of an experiment that I've never actually tried before. suppose I can zoom you back in now that I'm not trying to show you all of my supplies to start with. All right. And I'm going to go with some basic silver hollow. And the hard part is just getting a teeny tiny amount and dispersing it evenly. I forgot to pop bubbles. Oh well. Once again, not selling these. It is spreading out along the top, not mixing in, so hopefully a little zhuzh will do me. And then this one I'm going to put straight under my known quantity light. And not even bother with the new one. Of the new one, let's check on the transparent piece. Ooh, that is curing much better. Okay, so note to self, new light does better with transparent things. I am still going to leave it there for longer though, because it's not quite done yet. And then this one I am going to clean out though I am not going to use an entire paper towel for it this time. And I will just cure the mixing cups when I'm done. Yeah, I'm going to be on for a little while. Do what you gotta do. I'll be here. Wait. Don't want to waste my blue and my purple colored resins, but they're also being wasted just sitting doing nothing in my stash. So let's grab the purple since I've already done a blue. And I'm just going to do like a single drop of white metallic. To give it the tiniest bit of shimmer. And then for this one, I think I want to do a contrasting color mix in. I do yellow. That's going to cancel each other out. Nah, I'm just going to do the plain iridescent. Clear iridescent. Some tiny little unicorn skin flakes. Do not waste the unicorn skin. One shimmery translucent blue with iridescent flakies. Front of the new light. And I'm not going to bother cleaning that out. That next. My painting is not dry. I'm not ready to be done yet. So let's add some more white. And silver metallic. Mix in. That is a little darker than I want. So I shall add some white as well. And that's a nice medium silver, but fairly opaque. think I'm gonna try the glitter thing again. Oh, I think I didn't do enough this time. Maybe I should cure. Just leave this one super thin and cure it. Yeah, this might be when I leave thin, cure, draw it on, and then draw on it, then clear coat it later. Moment of truth. It still sounds sticky, so I think it still didn't quite cure on the bottom. Let's see if I can manage to pull it out without... Okay, well, I managed to get it out without deforming it, so I might be able to see there if I can angle it right. That texture is what I'm talking about. There's also a sticky layer on top that I don't normally get. But I will figure it out. I need to get myself more silicone, like little silicone mats to put stuff on. I'm going to leave that partially out of the mold, back in front of the UV light. See if that helps the situation. What next? Alrighty. I'm going to do a mix of a lighter blue alcohol ink and the tiniest pinch of light greenish blue mica. Like literally just dipping the end of my mixer in there and letting the excess fall off. And I'm going to go for a monochrome ink, some light blue keys. Nope. All right. My streak has failed. I need to manage to mix up that same ratio of everything again. In smaller quantity. Actually, about the same quantity realistically. There we go. Still not completely full, but a solid 3/4. So I should do stuff where you can actually see me. All right, let's see if I can salvage this. This not being my nails, because I'm now using nail polish remover to clean stuff in an attempt to make this work. Oh no, I'm gonna have to do my nails again. What did I do? So this is the blue one with the green iridescent that I did first, and it feels solid, like it cured, but even after a thorough wipe down with nail polish remover, it still feels like you can see my skin sticking to it. It's so sticky still, and I cannot get that sticky layer off, so I'm probably going to have to order some like stronger acetone. I've never experienced like the extreme sticky layer with this brand before in my other lights. So I don't know if in my other lights they just like weren't curing the same, or if there's a like missing wavelength in my new light. But it does feel cured all the way through, which I cannot say about the very first one I did, the coppery orange one. I have had this under the other UV lamp for around 20 minutes, and it is still liquid. Didn't intend to do that. I was showing how malleable it was, but then the silicone peeled away. Because it's still like fully malleable, which, to be fair, might be because I put in so much of the liquid metallic. So that might be a my bad, because the one with glitter and mica mostly cured. See, this is what I was talking about. Let's see if I can actually get it to show you. So it's mostly hard, but still somewhat malleable. And on the inside, there's still liquid where it wasn't curing. So when I try and pull that away and cure the other side, it ends up with a weird texture where it wasn't fully cured before. So I'm going to try just flipping the mold over and putting it back under, and hope none of it leaks out. And also hope that the light gets through the silicone. But I still have one empty mold to do. And actually probably more if I can be bothered to find them, or some of my other ones are ready to pop out. Oh, and see this purple iridescent one I did? Oh no, that does have the same sticky layer problem. Damn. I was hoping some of them would cure really well so that I could just pop them out and reuse the mold right away. But it seems like until I get alcohol, it's not happening. All right. Anyway, one more. Oh, while you were gone, I also did a couple more. One purple shimmery one with clear iridescent flakies, and one other lighter blue one with light blue flakies to keep it monochrome. This last one. What should I do? Green, maybe? I haven't done green yet. Do I have the same cure issue when you don't add any mica or anything? I have not tried. I should. In fact, I will. When I'm done, I will put some extra into the bottom of one of these cups and try just curing that. That was way too much for the mold that I'm about to use. Oh well. I'll like wipe it out and then put some clear in there or something. That makes me think the brand of UV resin that Michaels sells is the problem. But it's not just Michaels though. I also got this at Blick Art Supplies. Like I got my big one from Michaels and then the little colored ones I got from Blick. And Blick doesn't usually carry shit brands. And it's like Signature Crafts Brands is not a complete unknown in the crafting world. It's just what was easily available to me. So that's what I got. What was I doing? Green. Green is what I was doing. So I need yellow. And what color blue do I want? Cobalt, I think. Lot of yellow. And half as much blue-ish. Oh, that is a displeasing green color. It actually looks a lot better on camera. I need definitely more yellow. Yeah, at some point I will get like some Total Boat. But for now, the projects I had in mind just to get used to UV resin, I didn't want to invest that kind of money when I could get something from a local craft store for like a third of the price. All right, that is still not my favorite green color, but I think it's probably the best that I'm getting out of just mixing yellow and blue mica. And just, yeah, Total Boat isn't the most expensive I could get, but I know it's good quality. And if I was going to order from there, I would want to order like a pretty big quantity of it. And probably get some 2-part while I was at it. And like just doing like the whole order that I knew I would want to do to make it worth ordering from them was going to be more than I was willing to invest at the time. And now I want to use up, or at least close to use up, what I have before I order more. I don't do Amazon, which is inconvenient a lot of the time. But I refuse to give them any, well, I refuse to actively give them any money if I can help it. I know I can't avoid passively giving it to them because they make all of their actual money off of Amazon Web Services, but I try not to support them. No, that's way too much resin. Yeah, so I try and order directly from brand websites when I can. If I get really desperate and can't find anywhere else, I sometimes go through Walmart, but I still don't even really like doing that because fuck big corporations. We are well past 2 hours, so I shouldn't get penalized for that with my 13 subscribers on my non-monetized channel. All right, so then the other experiment is to just put pain into the bottom of here. And I will pop that in front of the light just to see if it's a product problem or a mix-in problem or a light problem. Actually, I should probably do that one in each light. Alrighty. I will start cleaning up and just chat at you for another few minutes while I wait for the lights to do their thing. This was fun for an incredibly random stream that I did not plan at all and ended up entirely deviating from what I wanted to do, or what I intended to do rather. This was a pretty good evening. I should probably figure out food because all I've eaten all day is 2 pieces of garlic toast. Yeah, food will happen. I have stuff to eat. I just haven't felt like cooking all day. And it was like either toast or a ham sandwich. Ham that I'm questioning if it's been in the fridge too long or not. And by not feeling like cooking, I mean I didn't even feel like microwaving anything. The toaster was about as much effort as I was willing to put in at the moment. But I will eat. Rearranging stuff so that the light can actually reach everything. Everything the light touches. I am the obnoxious 90s kid. I've just accepted this about myself. Fun fact, The Lion King was my favorite movie when I was little, to the point that while it was still out in theaters when I was like 4 or 5 years old, I made my mom take me to go see it like 30 times. The irony that it's like not even in my top 10. I speak conversational movie quotes. I am actually not particularly conversant in movies. I don't watch a ton of them. I did back in the 90s because I was a kid and kind of didn't have a choice. It was like mostly whatever my big sister was watching. So I, up until probably like 2001, I do popular movie quotes. Okay. 2001 to 2009 or so is kind of dodgy. And after that, I'm like, I've seen like probably 20 movies in the past 10 years. I'm not a movie person. Yeah, so far, the stickiness doesn't seem to be a product issue. I think it might be my new light, because I put this small amount in front of the new light before I put a larger amount in my Signature Crafts light, and the one in front of the new one is still partially liquid. While the Signature Crafts one is almost fully cured. So I think it's this light. Tricia says, if I put it that way, my movie quoties is probably rusty. Yeah, I think a lot of people's movie quoties is probably rustier than they think, because they quote the movies that are relevant to them and not necessarily relevant to modern times. Which is completely fair and understandable. All right, I will have to pop all of these under the Signature Crafts light when it's there, it's done. Or based in the 80s, 90s. Yeah. I also think movies were just kind of a bigger thing culturally pre-internet, because since the internet has really become commonplace for everyone to use, I just don't feel like most movies really kick off the way that they used to, because that used to be like what you did to go socialize with people. Now you can be in a YouTube stream in a very niche topic, like watching someone explain a trial to you. Like, the only movies that I can even remember being big cultural things in the last few years were major franchise ones. Like, there's not really any one-off just good movies anymore. Like, it's all either based on another property, or it's like Marvel or something are the ones that everybody universally knows. And other than that, like, it's become very special interest. Yeah, so I think it's that light, which is a bummer because I was excited to have a big, powerful UV light to cure stuff in. Even that died with NCU fatigue. Yeah, they overdid Marvel so much. Try and squeeze everything into frame here. Let's see how pink one did. Okay, yeah, turning it over did help the pink one. And so this one is a little sticky, which I've noticed consistently using the Signature Crafts brand and of resin and light both. Like, there's a very thin sticky layer, but like I don't think I would even need alcohol to get it off. I think like just a wet paper towel will get it off. Whereas, yeah, my skin is still sticking to this blue one. Oh well. At least I know. Can I return the light still? I don't know. I did have to get this one through Walmart, so I might still be within the return policy, but it's been right about a month, and I think theirs is 30 days, so I don't know. I'll have to check. It was only like $25, so it's not the hugest deal if I'm out that amount of money. It still looks cool, if nothing else. Like, I will still use this as like a lighting effect, probably, if I ever start doing like face to camera videos. Unlikely, but if. So this is more typical for what I've been seeing. Like, it's still slightly malleable, and oh, that one's still liquid on the bottom too. So this one will need longer under the light. And then this is another one that was under the new light, which is also super sticky. So just arrange the things that might need a little more curing still in there. See if maybe I can avoid absolute disaster. All right, I think I'm gonna call it. It's been over 2.5 hours. It is almost 8 p.m. So thank you for hanging out with me. I should be back next Tuesday, assuming I can keep track of what day it is. And I will see you probably in EDB's stream tomorrow morning, Trisha. Anyone else that's watching this on the replay, I will see you around the interwebs. Have a good night.